A few months back, I did a YouTube video explaining the top 10 countries to study abroad in 2026. That video did pretty well, but when I read the comments, I saw that people wanted specific top 10 lists for different courses. So I've decided to give the viewers what they want, and in this video, I'm listing the top 10 countries to study computer science in abroad in 2026. Now, this entire list is based on my own research and my own experience. So if you're an international student, I would encourage you to go through this list, but then do your own research before making a final decision of which country or countries you want to apply to. My name is Amaya. I'm a study abroad counselor. I've had hundreds of students get into the world's top ranked universities. I also make YouTube videos that help students make the right career choices and study abroad decisions. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. It'll be a win-win for the both of us. Coming in at number 10, we have Switzerland. What do you think of when you think of Switzerland? You think of chocolates, you think of high-end watches, you think of beautiful sceneries, probably Swiss milk or the anime Heidi. But did you also know that Switzerland has some of the world's top-ranked universities when it comes for computer science? You have universities like ETH Zurich, ranked number 10th in the world, EPFL, which is ranked 15th in the world, and many other great universities such as the University of Zurich, the University of Geneva, as well as St. Gallen University. So these are great universities, especially if you want to study research-oriented aspects of computer science like artificial intelligence, data science, or machine learning. In addition to this, the tuition fee in Switzerland is pretty inexpensive, averaging between 1 lakh rupees per year to 4 lakh rupees per year, even for international students. But the real issue with Switzerland is the living costs. Switzerland is one of the most expensive countries to live in. It costs between 18 lakh rupees per year to 22 lakh rupees per year on average, which is not affordable for most people. The other issue with Switzerland is that you need to learn multiple languages. Switzerland does have its own national language, but most jobs require a knowledge of either French, German, or in many cases, both. It is very difficult to get a job in Switzerland without knowing both these languages. And the final issue with Switzerland is that it has a very nascent tech scene. Very few jobs when it comes to computer science. So while it has great universities, it lacks a bit on the job opportunities, which is why it does make it to the top 10, but barely so. Now, next up on this list, we have Sweden, which is another European country. But unlike Switzerland, which is not a part of the European Union, Sweden is a part of the European Union. And why is this important? Well, it's important because it means that if you graduate with a degree from Sweden, because it's a part of the European Union, you can actually transfer to any other country in the European Union. So it helps with jobs mobility. It greatly expands the size of the job market. And speaking of the job market, the local job market in Sweden itself for computer science is pretty large. You have companies such as Truecaller, Spotify, as well as Klarna, which have their headquarters in Sweden. Stockholm especially is a great tech hub when it comes for computer science. Now, Sweden also has some of the world's best computer science institutes. It has Chalmers Institute of Technology, it has KTH Royal, and it also has Uppsala University. These three universities are the top three pretty much in computer science in Sweden. On top of that, the tuition fees are pretty affordable. You pay between 7.5 lakh rupees per year to 12 lakh rupees per year. And the living expenses are more affordable than Switzerland, the previous country that we saw. So while in Switzerland, it was 18 to 22 lakh rupees per year, in Sweden, it is between 10 to 15 lakh rupees per year. Now, the reason why I have not ranked Sweden higher on this list is because on graduation, you get only a 1-year post-study work visa, not more than that. There are other countries higher up on this list which provide longer post-study work visa durations, which is why Sweden comes in at number 9 and not any higher. Now, next at number 8, we have Singapore, which is the first and only Asian country of this list. Singapore has two of the world's best computer science universities, NUS and NTU, both of which are ranked in the top 10 universities in the entire world. And these are difficult to get into, but graduating with a degree from these universities can get you a job anywhere in the world. Now, apart from this, it's very close to India, both in terms of its geographical proximity as well as its culture, which is why it has become more popular over the past few years. And the job market in Singapore is pretty good too. Unemployment rates are below 2% even for international students, which makes it slightly easy to get a job in Singapore compared to other countries on this list. So, with all these advantages, why isn't Singapore actually ranked higher? Well, the first reason is the size of the country. You have relatively few number of universities in Singapore, which means that you have limited options of universities to apply to, and you have limited number of companies as well in Singapore, because Singapore is the size of Mumbai. So how many jobs do you think there are in Singapore? The second reason is the great influx of international students. Over the last few years, there have been many international students, especially Indians, which has made it very difficult to get into the top-ranked universities of Singapore and for Indians to get job. And the third reason is the cost of education. A master's degree in Singapore will cost you anywhere between 30 to 40 lakh rupees per year. Living expenses would be between 8 to 12 lakh rupees per year. Now, yes, you can get the Ministry of Education grant by the Singaporean government, which basically halves your tuition fee. But the problem with the Ministry of Education grant is if you accept it, then you have a bond, which means that after graduation, you need to work at least for 3 years in a Singapore-based entity. And guess what? If you fail to get a job in a Singapore-based entity after graduation, you have to pay the entire amount back with interest. So it has some pros, it has some cons. For all these reasons, it's number 8 on our list and not higher than that. Now at number 7, we have Australia. Australia has a population of just 2.8 crores. So that is less than the population of the national capital region. That's Delhi, Noida and Gurgaon in India. But still, it has 8 universities which are ranked in the top 100 universities of the world. And whereas other universities in different countries, apart from Australia, take a very research-based approach to computer science, in Australia, universities take a more vocational approach. They build the curriculum based on the industry requirements, and this is reflected in the way their degrees are named. So while it is common to get something like a Bachelor's of Computer Science or a Master's of Computer Science in other countries, in Australia, you might see a lot of Bachelor's of IT or a Master's of IT program. And this is a feature, it's not a bug, because that is what the industry requires. The best part about Australia though is transparent PR pathway. Bachelor students can get up to 2 years of stay back, Master students can get up to 4 years of stay back. And in both these cases, you can actually extend the stay back by an additional 1 or 2 years. So this means that Australia offers students the longest stay back option of all countries in this entire list. Now, the reason why I'm not ranking Australia higher than number 7 is because in Australia, you have relatively few jobs for computer science. So it's a great country if you want to go for work-life balance. It's not so great if you're super ambitious. Also, even though it has fewer number of jobs in computer science and relatively low paying jobs compared to some of the other countries which are higher on the list, it's pretty costly. It's almost as expensive as the United States. Next up on this list at number 6, we have Netherlands, another European Union country, population of just 2 crores, which is 1.3-1.4% of India's population, but a GDP which is 1/3 that of India. So this means that the Dutch people on average earn a lot of money. In fact, it is ranked number 10 when it comes to GDP per capita, which is a good proxy for gross national income level. So it's a great country if you want to earn a good amount of money. In addition to this, it also has some very good universities. You have universities like TU Delft, the University of Amsterdam, Leiden University, all of which rival universities like Georgia Tech, Carnegie Mellon, and even UPenn when it comes to the quality of education. But because you have relatively few international students, it is generally considered easier to get into these universities than maybe something like the Oxbridge or the Ivy League. In addition to this, students also get a 1-year stay back in Netherlands, and the Netherlands is home to several tech companies. Booking.com, which is a famous booking website, is actually headquartered in Netherlands. And apart from that, you have other foreign tech giants such as Google and Microsoft and even Amazon, which have their offices in Netherlands. Education is pretty inexpensive when compared to some of the other countries that were above this list, especially when you compare it to something like Singapore. So in Netherlands, you might see a 1-year master's program or a 2 years master's program cost you anywhere between 20 lakh rupees to 40 lakh rupees. This includes both tuition fees as well as living expenses. Again, the only reason why Netherlands is not ranked higher because it offers only a 1-year stay back option, which is less than some of the other countries that I have for you on this list. Now coming in at number 5, we have the United Kingdom. And this might seem like a weird choice to many of y'all given the job situation in the United Kingdom. I'm sure y'all have read reports that getting a job in the UK has been challenging over the last 2-3 years. And that's not wrong, but you need to go one level deeper. What you will realize is that if you study at a high-ranking university in the UK, such as one of those in the Russell Group, or if you study at a university with a work placement semester, and if you study for a program which leads to a job in the skills shortage list, which is published by the British government, then you're going to get a job in the UK. And the good news is that computer science definitely falls in the skill shortage list. Specifically areas like cybersecurity, software engineering, as well as IT, all of them are a part of the skill shortage list, which is published on an annual basis by the British government. Now, the other reason why the UK makes it to our top 5 is because of the quality of universities. You have universities like Oxford and Cambridge, which have made fundamental breakthroughs in the areas of computer science. And then you have universities like Imperial College London, which have great placements. The quality of these universities and their recognition is second to none. Get a degree from these universities and you will probably be employable anywhere else in the world. Apart from all of this, one of the reasons why I've added this to our top 5 is also because in the UK, you get 1-year master's programs, which mean that they are relatively inexpensive and you spend lesser time in education, leading to a higher ROI on your education. The other great thing about education in the UK is that they accept 3 years undergraduate degree program students. So let's say you've done something like a BSc IT or a BSc Computer Science, which are 3-year undergraduate degrees, you can still aim for a top-ranked university in the UK. And they also have conversion programs, which means that if you don't even have a computer science background at undergrad, you can go for a conversion computer science program and get into a Masters of Computer Science program, a conversion program in the UK at a very good university. So this is not an option which is provided by other countries or many other countries on this list. Coming in at number 4, we have Ireland. Now, Ireland is similar to the UK in many aspects, in terms of its culture, in terms of its language, in terms of its education system, as well as eligibility requirements. So again, if you have a 3-year undergraduate degree or if you have a non-CS background, you can still find ways to get into the top-ranked universities of Ireland, such as Trinity College Dublin, University College Dublin, University of Galloway, or the University of Limerick. But where Ireland actually edges out the UK is in terms of the job prospects. You see, many of the tech giants, the American tech giants and some European tech giants have set up their European Union headquarters in Ireland. So this means that a lot of the EU market product development happens from the Irish offices, which means that you get a lot of exciting jobs in product development, AI, cybersecurity, software engineering in Ireland. That is why it is ranked higher than the UK. But why isn't it ranked higher if it has all these advantages? So there are 2 issues. The first issue is the housing crisis. In the last 10 years, the number of international students in Ireland has more than doubled and housing has not kept pace. So it has become difficult to get affordable, good quality housing in some of its major cities. The second is the cost of living crisis. Yes, over the last 25 years, the average income levels of the Irish people has gone up 5x. But more money in the economy also means more inflation, and day-to-day things such as groceries and public transport has gotten pretty expensive. And for all these reasons, Ireland comes in at number 4. Okay, so we are now up to the top 3. At number 3, we have Germany. Free education at public universities, an 18-month post-study work visa, and Europe's largest economy with plenty of jobs. When I say all these things, it feels almost like Germany needs to be number 1 on this list, but it's not. And that's for actually 3 reasons. So the first reason why Germany is not number 1 or number 2 on this list is because it lacks depth in CS specializations. So what do I mean by that? If you're applying to one of the high ranked universities such as the TU9 universities in Germany, then you're going to get really good curriculum when it comes to your bachelor's or your master's in computer science, and you'll find a lot of different electives, specializations as well. But the problem is that most students who apply to these universities don't get through. So most of the international students who go to Germany are actually not going to the TU9 universities. And the moment you see the curriculum of universities outside the TU9, you realize that their computer science curriculum isn't as advanced as many of the other countries on this list. In fact, if you're an international student, you might be shocked to see that some universities at the master's level offer courses which you might have studied at the undergrad level in your own college, in your own home country. So this is the first reason why Germany is not in the top 2. The second reason is the language barrier in Germany. In Germany, slightly more than half of the population actually speaks German. It's around 55-56%. So this means that the moment you go outside cities like Berlin or Munich, you're going to be faced with a problem. And the other issue is that even if you might be taught in an English taught program, most of the jobs do require proficiency in German. So this means that if you're planning to study in Germany and are serious about Germany, you need to be ready to study A1, A2, B1, B2 levels of German in your home country itself before you fly to Germany. And within the first year of your bachelor's or master's, you also need to conduct or complete your C1 and C2 level certification. Then and then only do you have a shot at most of the jobs, computer science jobs in Germany. And speaking of jobs, yes, it is true that Germany is Europe's largest economy and it has plenty of jobs, but not for computer science. You see, Germany is a core engineering country. They have plenty of jobs when it comes to mechanical engineering, electronics engineering. Not so much when it comes to computer science. You do have a few tech hubs such as Berlin and Munich. They have a lot of startups, and you have a few large companies such as SAP as well. But outside these few tech-related jobs, most of the jobs are in IT, in support functions for companies which are in other industries such as chemicals or automotive engineering. So the kind of CS jobs that you get in Germany are not going to be as high quality, as high paying, or even as interesting as some of the jobs that you get in other countries on this list. So at number 2, we have Canada. And again, this is going to look like a weird or a wrong choice, but I'll explain why I've put it in number 2. On the surface, it seems like India-Canada tensions have been at a historic low, and it also looks like, the Canadian embassy has been rejecting a lot of visas, especially of Indian students. But you go 1 or 2 levels deeper and you understand things aren't all that bad. First of all, India and Canada have tried to improve their relations over the last 6 months. Mark Carney has reached out to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He's even planning to come to India in March 2026. So that's a positive sign. The second thing is that the visa rejections were not actually for those students who applied to good universities for good programs. So what do I mean by this? Well, you see, Canada has a 2-tier education system. You have universities such as the University of Toronto, University of Alberta, British Columbia, McGill, which offer rigorous academic degrees, research-oriented degrees, which lead to very good job outcomes. And then you have vocational degrees by colleges which offer PG diploma courses. These are typically 1 to 1.5 years in duration. They're far more affordable and not academically rigorous. So what a lot of Indian students were doing was they were enrolling for these PG diploma courses because they were affordable. And when they would reach Canada, they would actually not attend class. They would not perform well in exams, and they would actually spend their time working. So this is an abuse of the visa that they were given. This is something that the Canadian government wanted to clamp down on. And so majority of the visa rejections have been for such cases. If you plan to study a research-oriented program such as computer science at the bachelor's, master's or PhD level, and if you're applying to a very high-quality university such as UBC, U of T, McGill, University of Alberta, then you're not going to have a problem with visa. And the final reason why I have put Canada in the number 2 spot is the PR and the job opportunities. Do a bachelor's or a master's in computer science, you get a 3-year stay back in Canada. Once you stay in Canada for 3 years, you get enough points to apply for a PR. Stay for a few years as a PR, and then you can apply for citizenship. The moment you become a citizen of Canada, it becomes very easy for you to apply to jobs in the United States, which is the largest market for computer science and tech jobs anywhere in the world. So your degree and education in Canada can actually act as a backdoor entry to the United States, which is why it's number 2 on this list. Speaking of number 1 now, if you haven't guessed it already, we're talking about the United States. Now, I know that many of y'all would be concerned about Trump being president and the policies with respect to the H-1B. But I don't think you need to worry about both these things. For one, Trump is not going to be president forever. He's already in his 2nd term. His presidency in his 2nd term ends in 2029. And by the time you require an H-1B, he will not even be president anymore. So you need not worry about it or make long-term decisions related to your career on the basis of his presidency. The second thing with respect to the H-1B, I know everyone is worried about the $100,000 fee that companies now need to pay to sponsor H-1B applications. But did you know that international students are actually exempt from this fee? So as an international student, this does not actually apply to you. In fact, this makes you very attractive to hire for companies. Why is that? Because so far the competition for H-1B was extremely intense. Close to half the petitions for H-1B were filed by companies which were outside the United States. What Donald Trump has done is apply a charge of $100,000 to these companies which are outside the United States, sponsoring international applicants directly for the H-1B. But because you are in the United States on an F1 or a student visa when you study, and because you apply for an H-1B from within the United States, that fee does not apply to you. So effectively with this $100,000 fee, he has got rid of the entire competition coming from overseas, which are again half of the applications. So your chance of getting an H-1B basically just doubled. And this gives confidence to companies to recruit you, train you, and invest in you. So if you're willing to look beyond politics and the whole H-1B situation, then you will quickly realize that the US is probably the best place to go to for computer science. Why? It has the most number of universities overall as well as in the top 100. I think it has 25 of the world's top 100 universities for computer science, and it has more than 4,000 universities overall, of which 3,000 universities do offer computer science or computer science related degrees at the bachelor's or master's level or both. The second thing is that the number of jobs in the United States is much higher than any other country. The research funding for computer science and computer science related degrees is also much higher than any other country. For example, did you know that when it comes to funding for AI, the US is double in terms of its total research budget allocation than the next 9 countries combined? And this is not just for AI. You take a look at any specialization in computer science, the US is pretty much ahead of all countries in all different specializations you can think of. And also in terms of the quality of jobs, in terms of the payment that you get for those jobs, the US is the highest. Plus, it has lower tax rates than many of the countries that we've seen so far on the list. All these things considered, USA does deserve the #1 spot on this list. And if you thought that the US is expensive, then I have good news for you. You can build a very strong profile. US is the only country on this entire list that actually evaluates applicants holistically, which means that even if you have a low GPA, if you build the rest of your profile, not only can you get into top ranked universities, you can also get scholarships, need-based as well as merit-based scholarships. So that's it for today's list. Let me know in the comments whether you agree with my ranking, whether you don't agree with it. Let me know, is there any other course that you want me to do a top 10 list for? And as always, if you have any questions related to the study abroad process, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.